Welcome, everybody. Welcome to Fraternity Foodie. This is Mike Eilon with Greek University, and we've hit episode number 21. So thank you so much to the audience for listening in. Go back and check out some of the earlier episodes if you've missed any of them. And we call these interviews Fraternity Foodie because there's nothing like food that brings people together. So make sure you stay to the end of the interview. That way you can find out where our guests like to eat and what they order. So that way, if you're ever traveling in their area, you know exactly where to go. Now, today we have an amazing person with us today. Today we have Edson O'Neale. He is the Director of Student Activities at St. Leo University in Florida. So welcome, Edson. Welcome to the show.
How y'all doing, man? I appreciate the opportunity, everyone. Thanks for tuning in. And Mike, again, appreciate the opportunity, man.
Of course. It's my pleasure. Now let's find out a little bit more about you. I know that you chose St. Leo University for your undergraduate degree. So what made you choose St. Leo of all places?
What made me choose St. Leo? Well, most importantly, and the main thing is that they gave me the best deal financially to go to college. So, I mean, that was a no-brainer. But honestly, at the same time, coming from the islands, from St. Croix, St. Leo was a small, tight-knit community. And being from the islands, when you know everyone and it's small, and my high school graduation class was only 11 people, so we all know each other. So to come to an environment where it's small, the biggest class size is about 25 or 30. You get to know everybody, the professors, the faculty, and staff. I thought it was a no-brainer for me to go. I also came here with 3 of my friends from the islands. I wasn't by myself. So that was really intriguing for me to come here. And I always say coming here is probably one of the best decisions I've ever made because it really helped me to become the person I am. I learned so much. I went through amazing things. I went through not so amazing things, but going through those not so amazing things helped me to become the person I am today as well. So coming here was really a very good decision that I made.
That's excellent. I like your answer. The first one, you talked about cost, and that certainly is one of the reasons why I went to SUNY Buffalo in New York, because the cost in-state was really cheap. So I want to make sure that other students out there, that they're actually doing their computation. How much is this going to cost me? Because I had to pay for my education as well. How much is this going to cost me? And what other things can we get? Discounts, scholarships, other ways to reduce what that cost is going to be at the end of the day, and make sure that people really investigate that fully. But then the other thing you said also was the class size too. And I think that's one thing that I probably didn't spend as much time as I should have when I was deciding which college to go to, because University at Buffalo, there's over 30,000 students that go to school there. And I remember sitting in these lecture halls where there's 400, 500 students in a class.
I couldn't do it.
I mean, and I was like, what am I doing? I'm like, the professor doesn't know who I am. He can't possibly know 500 people.
I couldn't do it.
So that's really good that you thought about all those things in advance. Now, you also joined Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated there. So what made you choose Alpha Phi Alpha?
It was interesting because, again, from St. Croix, the Virgin Islands, I didn't know much. I really didn't know anything about fraternity sororities. I mean, the only thing I know was what they showed on TV, and you know how they portray fraternity sorority life on TV. It's not always positive, but that's all I knew. And then I came to St. Leo, and my first really interaction with them was seeing them strolling, and I was like, "What's this?" And then I got to know some of the guys, and actually 2 of the guys were my orientation leaders when I was coming to campus as a freshman, and then I had a friend he was going to go to an interest meeting, and he told me that I should come with him. I said, you know what, I'll give it a shot. And then the members eventually invited me and told me that I should come as well. And then when I came to the interest meeting, I learned a lot about their history, what they were about, some of the stuff they do and everything like that. And it was very intriguing to me. So I kept going to more interest meetings. I kept going to events that they were inviting me to. And I'm going to tell you a fun story. And a lot of people don't see this for fraternities and sororities, but they invited me to a party with them, and I went, had a good time. And we got back to campus. It was like 3 or 4 in the morning. They told me, "Hey, Edson, we'll see you in a couple hours for community service." I said, "Huh?" I was like, "You guys are going to community service?" I was like, "But it's 4 in the morning. What time y'all got to be there?" "Oh, like 6:30." And I said, "But it's 4 in the morning." And they were like, "Yeah, we signed up and we were going to do this. It's what we're about. We're about service, giving back to the community." So that's when I started to learn that they understood how to have fun, and they always wanted to have fun and enjoy themselves, but they understood that there was also a business or other stuff that was also important that they had to get done. So it didn't matter if they partied till 3, 4 in the morning. If they were going to dedicate themselves to get up in the morning and paint a house or do some community service by cleaning a neighborhood or anything like that, that's what they were going to do. So I was very intrigued by that, and a lot of people don't really see the behind the scenes of that. So that was that really hit me. And then I went to my first ever probate, and I saw how that was. So when I saw that, I was like, okay, I'm definitely in. And then, spring 2004, I went through the initiation process and then everything like that. And then again, another decision that I made that helped change my life as well. So that's one of the reasons why I chose Alpha Phi Alpha, because I saw something in the members that I saw in myself. And I also saw something that was bigger than myself that I wanted to be a part of. I wanted to be a part of that mystique, that membership, those individuals that set the precedent on campus, you know, getting involved, making a difference in the community, helping not only people that look like me, but people outside of our race to understand where we're coming from and to build bridges and to bring them together. So a mixture of all that just kind of helped me make my decision to join, as far as also give me the confidence to know that I can achieve whatever I put myself, whatever I put my mind to. So I know that was a long answer, but it was a lot that made me choose to become an alpha. So it was very it was rewarding when I joined. It still is rewarding, as I've been a member for over 15 years.
Yeah, man, that's a great answer. There's so many things that you could talk about there. You talked about orientation leaders. So for all the fraternity and sorority students out there, think about that. How do we get our members to be orientation leaders? Because they see all the new students that are coming to campus.
Right.
And so that's a great connection right there.
Absolutely.
He also talked about doing service. So even before he was a member, he's doing service with the Brothers of Alpha. You have to understand how important that is. It's much more than just the social, and that makes you understand what Greek life is really all about. It's not just the social, and that ultimately is what the students today, that's what they care about. They want to make a difference in this world, right? So, oh man, I could just spend an hour talking about your answer, but we're going to go on, and we're gonna leave it up to the listeners to go back and rewind and understand everything that you said, because there's so many good points in there. Now, I've also met many brothers of Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity over the years, and I will tell you that there is a culture of membership for life that I just don't see in so many IFC organizations, Panhellenic organizations. So how does Alpha Phi Alpha fraternity build that lifetime membership that seems to elude so many other organizations out there?
I think as alpha men, we do a very good job of portraying the same message across the board, from state to state, region to region, even in different countries. We do our best to portray the message of this is a lifetime bond, this is a lifetime relationship, this is a lifetime commitment. And I think, like, especially members of IFC and Panhell should really take notice of that, because I don't know if you noticed, but when people ask me, what organization that I'm a part of, I always say I am an alpha. But when you ask people that are in IFC or Panhell, they'll always say, oh, well, I was Kappa Sigma, or I was Alpha Sigma Tau, or yeah, I joined. And, it's like, no, like, even though you may not be active with your organization or whatever it is, that lifetime commitment and bonds you have are going to go for a lifetime. So no matter how active you are still a member of that organization. So Alpha has done a good job in preaching that to me, which has helped me to preach that to others. And I know on my campus, when I'm talking to the girls who are going through the recruitment, or if I'm talking to the males that are going through IFC recruitment, I explain to them, and I also try to ingrain this in the current members so they can also explain to them. So if they're hearing it from me, but also hearing it from current members, I think they're like, wow, this is a common thing. But to really explain to them that, look, when you join, it's not just college and you're done. Like, it's a lifetime commitment or a lifetime membership you have. So how you use that membership is totally up to you, whether you stay active after you graduate or you don't, but that's something that will be a part of your life forever. So with Alpha, they just do a very good job of really ingraining those. And I think with the type of people we're looking for, like, a lot of the individuals that join Alpha either didn't have a lot of, didn't have a father growing up, or didn't have a lot of brothers, or also had that mentorship. So with a combination of not having enough mentorship, so when they join, they're getting that, or they did have it growing up, and then joining Alpha added to that. It really helps build those bonds of, brotherhood, building relationships, bringing mentorships and so on, to kind of help, build those bridges and to really show support with, the members of your organization. So people who have joined my chapter, 10, 15, 20 years before me, I still talk to them to this very day. We're talking about planning weekends together, and, hey, I'm coming down, kind of stay at your place for a night or stuff like that. So it's just a type of brotherhood and bond that you build, when you join. And Alpha really helped portray that message, to me, which has helped me not only portray to members of my organization, or what is NPHC, whether it's MGC, NALFO, Asian Pacific, IFC, Pan Hell. I've always tried my best to portray that message to everyone. I look, when you join, it's a lifetime thing. So if you can see yourself coming back 5, 10, 15, 20, 30 years to your campus and really developing those relationships and giving back and being a part of the organization, then you might need to think twice about joining that respective organization. Excellent. Or joining Greek Life, period.
Yeah, that's fantastic. Now, I know you got your master's degree in leadership from Nova Southeastern. So what was that experience like, going for your master's degree there?
It was interesting. I had no desire to get a master's degree. I'll be very honest with you. I got my bachelor's in sport management. My goal was to work in the sports field, whether it was events, facilities, and stuff like that. And then I was working in ticket sales for about 2 years, and I tried to get different opportunities, different jobs. I even looked outside of sports, and things just wasn't working out. So I just did this on a whim. I looked at Nova Southeastern University. I looked at their program. I applied. I got in. I knew people at St. Leo who knew people at Nova, but it all kind of connected me with everyone. So I kind of got connections, and everything just kind of went from there. So when I first applied to Nova, I applied for the MBA program, just to get a basic MBA. But then I went through the program again, and I saw that they had a leadership program. And I was like, let me look into this. And then I saw some of the courses that they had, cross-cultural leadership. So learning how to lead in different cultures or different backgrounds, situational leadership, dealing how to lead in different situations, team building, coaching, influencing, leading change. I was like, wow, this is a lot of stuff that I really feel like this can work for me. So when I did it, when I saw that, I was like, I think this will fit me better than doing a basic MBA. So I switched to that, and it worked out very well. And I was able to apply a lot of that. I was very fortunate to get a graduate assistantship working in events over in the special events office. So I was able to work with students. I was able to work with them on a lot of the major programming on campuses. It also gave me an opportunity to really work with some of the Greek Life members and so on. Even though I wasn't allowed to, a lot of the organizations asked me to advise them and everything. I said, look, I can't really be your advisor, but I'd be willing to work with you in whatever capacity you need me to do. So with the leadership degree and then being able to portray a lot of what I was learning, working with students and doing that at Nova was a really neat experience. And I was in Fort Lauderdale, so it was just amazing being down there as well. So
Nice. So now you're back at St. Leo University. Now you're the director of student activities on campus. I know you oversee a couple of full-time staff members. You have 2 graduate assistants. So what are your responsibilities in this role as director of student activities?
here at St. Louis University, as the director of student activities, I directly advise our student government union executive board. So I work with them in all operations of what student government is. I typically work with the president on helping run the executive board or different initiatives, opportunities that he or she wants to do on campus. And I work with the other members with our advisory board. And then I help supervise my team. So I have 2 full-time staff. One is my assistant director of Greek life and community engagement. So I work with that individual in overseeing our Greek organizations, as well as providing our community service opportunities on and off campus. We also help coordinate our community service days and anything of that nature. And then I have my assistant director of student activities who help oversees our programming board, as well as oversee our student clubs and organizations. So I work with them in overseeing that and making sure the programming board is, setting up the events, making sure that we are approving organizations and making sure they're getting the resources they need and that. And then my 2 graduate assistants kind of help kind of work with myself and my 2 full-time staff, and kind of like helping to approve stuff and, doing little things there and there and stuff like that. So that's kind of how our office is set up right now. We definitely do a lot. We're definitely trying to make a push to get, a couple more staff members to kind of help us out. But that's kind of what we do here at St. Louis University. So, even though I'm the director, I feel like at most schools, the director, kind of stays hands off and doesn't really work with students too much. And I think with me, I don't want to lose that student interaction and experience. So I definitely try to engulf myself with as much as working with them as much as I can. I definitely empower my team to really help motivate and really, work with the students to help them, but also to call on me if I'm needed for anything of that nature, so that I make sure that I'm supporting them on what they need as well. So.
Yeah, that's excellent. I definitely understand where you're coming from. When I was working for the fraternity headquarters staff, I also wanted to maintain that connection that I had with the students directly, because as their leader, I didn't really feel like I knew their needs unless I was meeting with them in person and talking to them about what it is that they need out of the organization. So yes, we had a whole bunch of people on staff, and yes, mostly they were working with our staff. But at the same point, I made sure that I went out and visited the chapters in person to hear face to face from the students what their concerns were and how we as an office can help them. And I never wanted to lose that. That to me was so important, that direct connection. So that's really good. And the other thing that I noticed too is I've met a bunch of your students from St. Leo, and they all just seem to love working with you. They're all, oh, do you know Edson? And so it's so interesting to me. How do you develop that open and honest relationship that you have with the students on campus so they actually feel comfortable enough to come to you with whatever their concerns are?
I think one thing that works well for me at this campus, and in just my personality to begin with, I try to be very visible. So I'm at all the events, well, not all of them, because I do have a lot outside of St. Leo, but I try to be at as many events as I can. When they're sitting down and when they're like just talking or hanging out or maybe eating, I sit down, I'm like, hey, how you doing? What's your name? What's this? Stuff. Or even the students that I know, I just kind of pop in and I may just have a casual conversation with them, and stuff like that. And they may ask me questions for like how to do with this, how to do with that, and I give them very honest answers. I think that's what they appreciate most about me, and I'm very honest with them. Um, at times they don't like it, but I think they appreciate it at the same time, because everyone has to give them fluffy answers, and I'm pretty. If you ask them, they'd say I'm pretty blunt. I'm so I think with that, it created that relationship of, always, they know that I will give to them straight, and so they appreciate that. And I always tell them, like, if they need anything, like, just like, let me know. So when I see them down or upset, I'm like, what's wrong? What's happening? They're like, I'm fine. I'm like, don't lie to me. Don't lie to me. And they're like, and then they start crying and they're upset. And then they're like, I'm sorry. This is going on. That's going on. And it's always about like something with their membership, or it's a boyfriend, or they failed a test or anything like that. So I just got to tell them that it's okay. You know, everything will work out. It's just a roadblock that you're dealing with. So my question to you is, how are you going to deal with that roadblock? Are you going to let this continue to block you from continue your path, or are you going to eventually find a way to get through this roadblock so they can continue on your path? And they ask me what are some ways they can do that. I always give them ways or advice on what are different options or opportunities that they can do. I think just having a very open and just being honest conversation with them. I think I also show some tough love at times, but I'm always there like, hey, you did good, you did great, that was amazing. I'm proud of you. Keep up the good work. So a lot of students on this campus call me dad because they think I'm the dad. And some of these students never had a dad to really be there and support them. So sometimes I feel like gap for them, because they never had a male figure growing up in their eyes. So, that's another way I've kind of filled in to kind of help support the student body here.
That's excellent. That's really good leadership, right? You're really honest with them. You remove their roadblocks. Any good leader, even if you're, the president of your fraternity, your sorority, whatever, being honest with your members and removing whatever roadblocks are in their way, so that way they can achieve their full potential and help your organization. That's just priceless right there. That's awesome.
I try my best, man. I try my best.
Yeah, I know you do, because the students, I'm telling you, the students, they realize this. They see it. They feel it. So now some of your presentations are amazing. I know you did one at AFLV that was called Why You Mad? The Education of Divine Nine and Multicultural Greeks. So what is the goal of that particular presentation? And I'm also curious what kind of a response you received from the students after the presentation at AFLV.
Good question. So the goal of the presentation and where I got this idea from, and it really stemmed from St. Leo. I've seen it at other campuses, but it really stems from my experience here at St. Leo and what I've experienced and dealt with the Greek organizations here on campus. But everyone sees our MPHC or MGC, the stepping and strolling, and they think it's cool, they like it, and they eventually want to do it. And sometimes when some of these other groups do it, MPHC and MGC gets mad upset, and they want to start confrontation. They want to disrespect people and tell them, you can't do this, is only our thing, and this and that, or whatever it is. And so when I started to see that, some have come to me about them doing these things, and I'm just like, yeah, I get it. Should they be doing it? No. But what type of education have you provided to make them aware of what they can and cannot do, the limitations? Like, why do you guys do this in the first place? Because they can't stop doing it if they don't know what's the significance of it. So if they see you doing it, they're like, oh, that's cool. And then they're going to want to do it as well. So if they don't know what's the meaning behind it or the history or the significance, you can't get mad at them for doing that. So that's what my presentation was really about, really talking about, like I developed some scenarios of what happened, and then I talk about, are we providing the proper education? Then I go a little further and I say, hey, we not only are we not providing education for everyone that's outside of MPHC, but are we providing enough education for our own members? Because we talk about how they don't know and how we're not educating them, but how can we educate them when we're not educating enough on the topics? So are we even educating ourselves enough on this topic? And then I talk about how, where do you think our founders would feel about this? you know, the direction that they went to and stuff like that, and then kind of talking about different scenarios and topics to kind of show them, like, hey guys, like we need to do a better job of educating not only our memberships but to the community. And if people don't know or they get mad at different situations, you shouldn't get mad because you're not educating the masses. Are there going to be ignorant people? Are there going to be people that will never want to know, never understand, never get it? Yes, but there's nothing you can do about those individuals. But if you can educate the masses or educate those that can influence those other people, you can slowly get to other people to make them understand the history, the significance, the importance of what it is to, you know, stepping, strolling, you know, a history of our Divine Line organizations. The response I got from the students were, for the most part, it was positive. You know, I asked for feedback after the presentation because I want to, you know, I really want to hear if they liked it, if they didn't, you know, what are some different things I could do differently. You know, and a lot of them said it was good. A lot of them talked about how it was very important that we talk about this more. There's also some IFC and Panhel in the room, and someone from Panhel said, I've learned so much more about divine and multicultural in this presentation that I've learned from my campus. You know, so that was interesting to hear. Some of the feedback that I said was maybe, you know, maybe instead of doing like 4 or 5 scenarios, maybe do like 1 or 2. Also, there was one group, because I broke them all into different groups. There was one group that only had MPHC and MGC. So one, the guys were telling me, you know, when you're breaking up into different groups, make sure it's a good mixture so everyone can have talk and have different conversations and stuff like that, you know. So that was some of the feedback I had. I definitely, I think, have room for growth and improvement in this presentation. But for me to present it for the first time to the masses like that, and then to get the response that I did, I thought was pretty good.
I think that presentation belongs on every single college campus. I mean, I'm for real about that because, you know, we need to learn more. And so, you know, let's talk about educating the masses. Let's do that right now. There's no reason for us to wait, right? So, you know, I love strolling. That's probably my favorite part of AFLV Central. I'll be honest with you. I mean, that show is incredible for anybody who hasn't been to AFLV Central. But let's educate the masses right now. What is stepping? What is strolling? What is the significance and the history of it?
Well, stepping is a form of percussive dance in which individuals use their body for rhythmic movement. So you basically, you know, you hear stomping, you hear clapping, you know, you see them moving their body and stuff like that or whatever. So it's a form of dance percussion, pretty much using your body with that to develop different rhythms, different music, different beats and stuff like that. And a lot of the history came from stepping from back in the day with different African groups down in Africa in which they developed a dance called gumboot. So the gumboot dance was pretty much they were in a boot and they would like kind of stomp and hit the boot and dance. And it was a way to kind of send messages to different members of the slave community. Excuse me. So from that, it started to develop into like dance routine, rhythmic dancing, in which in which developed with like stepping and, and different rhythms. So wow. Some water here.
We're going to take a break here while Edson gets something to drink. He's choking over here on the other side of the screen.
All right, I'm back.
All right, good.
All right, I'm back. Yeah, so that's pretty much what stepping is. And so an individual that has done a lot of history and has really looked a lot about this and stepping and has been really good of educating the masses and as far as educating me to kind of learn more about it Rashid Cromwell from the Harbor Institute. He's
Yes.
been phenomenal as far as doing that. So as much as I'm learning a lot more about how to educate the masses about this type of thing, and the history of it, as much as I like to come to a campus, he's also a great resource as well. I was going to pull that plug for him. He's been great and kind of mentoring me and helping me with the learning about more of this stuff. But yeah, that's a lot. I could go in a long detail, but that's pretty much what it is: a rhythmic percussion dance using rhythms with your body, foot movement, and stuff like that. And at first, when it was used to really send messages to kind of know your neighbors or people know about, or this person may be coming or this may be happening and stuff like that. And it just kind of developed this whole big dance movement and stuff like that. And then with strolling is just a way of you'll have like individuals in a line and then they're doing the same type of movements in a line and in sync. So it kind of shows that unity with the organization, with the members of the fraternity and the sorority. That's why it's very important they always said don't break a line when you're strolling, is because back in the day with slavery, when they used to hook up and try to connect together, they didn't want to break it, make sure that it was broken, because if it was broken, that means they would lose certain members of the community to whatever situation that they were going to be gone for. So they would always lock up and hold on to each other as a way to show unison and to show that you can't break us and that we want to stay together. So that's why you always hear, don't break the line, don't go in between the line, when you're strolling and stuff like that. So it's just a way to show unison and togetherness with the members of the organization.
That's excellent. Again, that belongs on every single college campus. I can't wait to see that talk everywhere, all across the country. Love it. The other presentation that you have is something called You Be the Letters. And so in this particular presentation, you talk about why people join, what's the reasoning, why they join in the beginning, and then sometimes their actions over time might be slightly different in the organization. So why do you think that happens? Why do people go into it with certain expectations, and then when they look back at their actions over time, maybe those two things don't exactly align? Why is that?
From my experience, I feel that when people join their respective organizations, instead of staying who they are and allowing themselves to become the letters, they allow the letters to become them by taking on the persona of what the organization, the letters, or what the whole Greek perception is. So instead of coming in, making sure you're following through with why you joined, people tend to take on these different personas of what it is to be Greek and I guess how Greek members are viewed or perceived and stuff like that. So instead of trying to change those expectations, they chose to be like, you know what? If that's what you're going to view me, I'm going to live it. So when they change and they try to be different, that's how they're losing value and losing touch of why they joined in the first place. So that's why I personally feel why people lose track of why they join is because they don't become the letters, they allow the letters to become them. So they allow the letters to kind of take over the persona of themselves, and they don't allow to become the letters to help bring about change or to help really build a foundation with themselves and the membership and even the community of their institution, of wherever they are, or whatever it might be. So I think, when it comes to that, I think when, certain organizations are looking for members, they portray all the different types of things. So then when they join, they're like, they only want to do that. But then when they see all the different sides, they're like, whoa, 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 I didn't sign up for this. So they show them all the fun aspects. But then when they get in and then with all the meetings, the fundraising, the community service, they're like, wait, y'all never talked about that. So I thought we was gonna have fun and party and get girls.
Mm.
And, so, but that's not what we're all about. We're about service. We're about, developing better versions of ourselves and the community. We're about, making a difference. You know, we're about, business, like we always say fraternity is a business, and you can use these experiences at college to help portray yourself for your future endeavors. So if you're an accounting major, if you're the treasurer of your chapter, when you're looking for accounting jobs, you can say, well, I ran a $10,000 budget for my fraternity. And, when, in the past previous years, when we've always lost money or never made money, I was able to help fundraise and set budgets and balances to where we made X amount of dollars. You can use that to help portray yourself for future endeavors, beyond college.
Mhm.
So I think we need to do a better job of that. And when people join, make sure they're joining for the right reasons and not allowing the letters to become them. Take on different personas and stuff like
That's beautiful. That's one of the unique things I think about fraternity and sorority is that we can run whatever it is, $100,000 budget as a college student, and that's a big deal. That's a big deal to future employers. So you're right about thinking about how can we leverage those things that we're learning within Greek life over our careers. So that's right on. Now, as you know, we love food here at Fraternity Foodies. So let's assume for a moment that we find ourselves in St. Leo, Florida. Where should we go for a bite to eat, and what should I order?
that. Okay, so there's a lot of different places around here a few that you can go to. So one of the places that I would recommend is a place called Pancho. So it's a Mexican restaurant, not too far from where St. Leo is. Um, Usually when I go there for lunch, I order the huevos rancheros, which is like rice and beans with eggs and sauce and stuff like that. I love breakfast stuff, so if I can order breakfast stuff with my meal, I'll do it. But they have a very good selection of chimichangas, quesadillas, fajitas. They have it all. So anything you order, whatever you're in the mood in, will be pretty good. There's also a place not too far from St. Leo called Steph's. It's pretty much soul food place. So they have like fried chicken, meatloaf, big chicken, macaroni. They have greens. Uh, uh, I always get their banana pudding because it's amazing. Sometimes they serve oxtail and different things. So I can't tell you what specifically to order there because it's all great. So it's whatever you're in the mood. And if you're in for meatloaf or, chicken pot pie they have it all. So if you were to come to St. Leo, Florida, those would be the two places I would recommend. We also have a barbecue place called On Q. So if you're in the mood for barbecue, you can do that. And then we're only 20 minutes away from Washi Chapel, which is more in the Tampa Bay area. There's a tons of restaurants there, or you can go to downtown Tampa where they have a ton of specific, like, different, types of restaurants with their ethnic background, stuff like that. So we have a ton of steak houses. We have one place called Texas de Brazil. I don't know if you ever heard of it, but it's an amazing place, so when I first went there, so they have the buffet and then they have the card. And then, when it's green, all the waiters come to you and they're like, oh, you want this, you want this, you want this, you want this. And they're going to keep coming to you with all the different meats until you turn the card over red. Because if they see it's green, they're showing you want meat. So if it's still green, and stuff like that, they'll bring it over. So you have to turn it red to be like, hey, I need a break, but Texas de Brazil, that's pretty good. So
Those are all great options. You're making me super hungry, man. You used to describe all of this stuff. Now I'm starving. Now I need to go eat. So I'm looking forward to seeing you hopefully in St. Leo in the fall because that would be fantastic. I'll buy at any one of these places, soul food, Mexican, Brazilian, whatever you want. I love it all.
I'll
So
take you up on it, buddy. Thanks.
sounds good. So if anybody in our audience, maybe they want to hear more about your presentations, right? So the Divine Nine and Multicultural Greeks, perhaps you be the letters. How can somebody contact you? What's the best way to connect with you so that way they can bring one of these programs to their campus?
Absolutely. If you want to get a hold of me, you can email me at edson.o'neale@stleo.edu. So Edson, EDSON, O'Neale, ONEALE, at SaintLeo, SAINTLEO.edu. So feel free to email me with interest in bringing me to talk about on your campus. You can also give me a phone call at my office number, which is 352-588-8856. So again, 352-588-8856. Those would be the two best ways to get a hold of me. And so on. Also, I'm on social media. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. My Instagram handle is Wodison85, WHODISON85. I have a Twitter. It's son of Ed04. I don't really check the Twitter much. I'm working to get back into the Twitter world a little bit, but I have that. Yeah, but those would be the best ways to kind of get a hold of me, especially emailing or calling me on my office phone. And yes, that'll be the best ways to get a hold of me if they want to come to me directly to, as far as reaching out, as far as, coming to speak or have any questions or anything like that.
That's fantastic. Edson, I've enjoyed every moment that we've spent together. I think you're great. These programs are incredible. They do belong on every single campus. So I just can't wait to see where this goes. I mean, I'm just so excited that it's just going to be everywhere. So that's fantastic.
All right,
Thank you so
man.
much. Yeah, thank you so much for your time, Edson. And thank you to the listening audience for staying with us and listening to this interview. If you like it, please share it with other people that you think might be interested in listening in. We appreciate all of your time, and thank you so much for being with us. We'll see you on the next episode of Fraternity Foodie. Bye for now.
I appreciate y'all. Take care.
Take care.